Have you ever walked into a room and felt the tension before anyone even spoke? And later, hours later, you suddenly realize what that person really meant. And you do not even know how you got there. If you are an INFJ, there is a reason this happens. Your brain does not stop when you stop talking. It keeps running quietly in the background. Today, I'm going to give you 10 signs your INFJ brain is running in the background. Even when you look calm, even when you are quiet, even when you are just relaxing. And I am not just listing traits, I am going to explain the mechanism behind them and how to use this ability without burning yourself out. One important grounding note before we begin: personality type is a lens, not a diagnosis. If something here feels intense, it does not necessarily mean INFJ. These ideas are meant to help you understand patterns. Most people think thinking happens when they are actively solving a problem. But there is another kind of thinking that runs quietly behind everything you do. Psychologists sometimes call this background cognition. Your brain is constantly scanning for patterns and emotional signals. For many INFJs, that background system is unusually active. It is the reason you notice tension before a word is said. It is why you can sense when someone's energy shifts in the middle of a conversation. And it is also why your mind often keeps working long after everyone else has moved on. This does not mean you are overthinking. It means your brain is processing information at a deeper layer. The challenge is that most of the world is designed for external processors. INFJs often process internally. When your brain is doing this quiet work, people may think you are disengaged, but the reality is the opposite. Your mind is often working harder than anyone realizes. Let's look at how this manifests in real situations. Now let's begin. Sign 1. You read the room before anyone speaks. You walk into a space and your brain immediately begins collecting data. Who is avoiding eye contact? Who is forcing a smile? Who is trying to control the emotional energy of the room? Most people need conversation to understand. INFJs often pick up the emotional story first and the words second. If you suddenly feel heavy, do not shame yourself. Instead, simply label it. My brain is scanning. That one label can immediately reduce overwhelm because you stop fighting what your mind is naturally doing. The next sign explains why sometimes you do not respond in the moment, but later you become incredibly accurate. Sign 2, conversations replay in your mind later, not because you are obsessed, because your mind saved the file. You remember a phrase, a tone shift, a pause, and later you suddenly realize something important. That comment was actually a power move. That question was not curiosity, it was testing. That reaction was insecurity. Many INFJs become frustrated. The reason is simple. Your brain processes in layers. First is presence, second is meaning. So give yourself permission to say, I want to think about that. I will get back to you. This protects your integrity. Sign 3, you notice patterns in people. After a few interactions, you begin seeing the blueprint. How someone reacts to stress, what they avoid, what they crave, what they perform for others. This is pattern recognition. Just because you see the pattern does not mean you are responsible for fixing it. Once you see the pattern, small talk can feel painfully slow. Seeing something does not make it your job to repair it. And when your brain combines pattern recognition with time, sign 4. You predict outcomes before they happen. You can sense where a friendship is heading. You can feel where a team dynamic will collapse. People call this intuition, but it is pattern recognition combined with emotional data and time projection. If you speak too early, people think you are negative. If you speak after, people ask how you knew. The mind was running the simulation. Instead of arguing, use questions. What makes you confident this will work? Or what happens if it does not go as expected? Questions allow you to guide a conversation without being labeled as the negative person in the room. There is a moment many INFJs experience that can feel incredibly confusing. You warn someone about a situation, you sense the tension building, you notice the warning signs early, but when you try to explain it, people dismiss it. They say you are overthinking or being dramatic, so you stay quiet. Weeks later, the exact outcome you sensed happens. Suddenly, everyone asks, how did you know? The answer is frustratingly simple. You didn't know. You noticed patterns that other people ignored. You noticed emotional shifts that others dismissed. You noticed contradictions that did not match the story. The INFJ mind does not predict the future. It connects signals earlier, and experience makes that sharper. Sign 5. Silence is when your brain works the hardest. For some, silence means nothing. For INFJs, it is the processing room. Your mind is reviewing what happened, what was meant, and what might happen next. It is automatic. This is why INFJs need real decompression, not just time off. Your mind will keep working unless you give it a container. Two simple containers work well: a short brain dump where you write everything out, or a quiet walk with no input. No music, no podcast, just space. And if you have ever wondered why you carry moods longer, the next sign explains it. Sign 6. Emotional data never fully turns off. You do not just hear what people say, you absorb what they feel underneath their words. Someone's anxiety, someone's sadness, someone's resentment. Later, when you are alone, those emotional signals can still be sitting inside your nervous system. This is where empathy can quietly turn into exhaustion. You are still carrying emotional information from a room you already left. One small reset can help. When you get home, pause for a moment and ask yourself one simple question: what am I carrying that is not mine? Then intentionally exhale and let it go. You are not being dramatic by doing this. You are taking responsibility for your nervous system. Sign 7, you see contradictions instantly. Someone says they are fine, but their body language says they are not safe. Someone says they respect you, but their behavior shows they want control. Most people hear the words and move on. INFJs compare the words with the pattern. This is why performative personalities often make you uncomfortable. Your brain cannot ignore when behavior and language do not match. A simple rule protects your clarity here. When words and behavior do not align, believe the behavior. Sign 8, you process the future while others focus on the present. Someone introduces an idea and you immediately see the ripple effects, how it will affect relationships, time, energy, trust. This can make you appear cautious to others. But caution is not always fear. Sometimes it is foresight. A helpful communication strategy can keep you from sounding like the problem person. Start with alignment. I like the goal, then name the risk. Here is what could break. Then offer a protective path. Here is how we protect it. Sign 9, you feel mentally exhausted without doing much. You might spend a day doing very little physically and still feel drained. Because you were not doing nothing, you were observing. Observation is work. Your brain was tracking emotional shifts, social signals, subtle patterns, and hidden meanings. The best reset for this type of fatigue is often not sleep. Sometimes it is simply less input. No podcast, no social media, just quiet sensory space. Sign 10, you pause before responding. This is the sign people notice the most and often misunderstand. Many people interpret the INFJ pause as hesitation, but that pause is actually a decision engine. In that moment, your brain is running several filters. Is this true? Is this necessary? Is this kind? What happens next if I say it? What will this cost me? That is not indecision. That is precision. A simple boundary sentence can protect that space. I am not ignoring you. I am thinking. Say it calmly once and let the room adjust. Many INFJs grow up thinking something is wrong. You might have been told you were too sensitive or intense. But those traits are connected to the same internal system, a mind that constantly processes meaning, a mind that pays attention to emotional data, a mind that quietly evaluates the deeper layer. The challenge is learning how to manage it. If you never give your mind space to recover, it will keep running. When a system runs without maintenance, it burns out. Understanding your mind is not just interesting, it is necessary, because awareness is the first step toward protecting your energy. Let's talk about the power of the pause. Many cultures reward speed, quick responses, fast opinions, but intelligence does not always move fast. The most precise decisions happen in reflection. The INFJ pause is where your brain checks alignment. In a world that reacts first and thinks later, that pause can become one of your greatest strengths. When you look at all 10 of these signs together, a larger picture appears. The INFJ mind is constantly doing background work, scanning environments, tracking emotional signals. If your brain is always running, rest cannot be treated as a luxury. Rest becomes maintenance. A simple 3-step check can help you protect your energy. First, ask yourself what you are noticing. Second, ask whether it is actually yours to carry. Third, decide the smallest action. If this video helped you, share in the comments. The next video is called The INFJ Decision Engine: Why We Pause. I will see you in the next video.